So I am not great probably at being a stranger. Um, I'll be honest, I'm one of those people that kind of walks into a room and is generally pretty comfortable with people I've never met before. I'm also very open. Um, and, fortunately for me so far, most people seem to feel comfortable with me too. So that works out well, especially when, you have jobs like I do. Um, I also have a lot of friends. And so it's actually really hard to meet someone, at least where I live in Sydney, who doesn't know someone who doesn't know someone who doesn't know me, and being on TV, there's that weird moment where someone will say, I know you, and then you realize that actually they don't, but they've seen me. But to them, I don't feel like a stranger, and I really like that. So it isn't hugely common for me to sit in the stranger space. But I do have one story about choosing and being a stranger that I think worked out really well in the end. Which also sounds a bit weird. So as you may be aware, if you've been keeping track of Nay in the Life, I have been supporting someone who was really sick, who recently died, and it's been incredibly sad, but also very rewarding. And one of the things that happened was towards the end of his life, I put up my hand to do the job of reaching out to people via text. Now, if you want to talk about the ultimate way to keep somebody completely alien to you and not know them at all, it's to send texts where no one can reply. So we had a WhatsApp group, and it was, a sending messages only kind of group. So I was sending these messages about what was happening. And it was interesting because sending these out to sort of 40 to 50 people, most of whom were just phone numbers, not even a name. And then getting these responses from people who would respond to me individually, because I would say, if you need to reach out. True strangers, people I had never met, people I had no idea what they look like, how they spoke, what they did for a living. All I knew was that they were friends with my friend. And that was kind of eye-opening. I think initially I felt a little bit uncomfortable, like I felt like I needed to create more of a relationship. And then over time I was like, no, actually this is fine. I can just be there for whatever they need at the time, and they have the rest of their life that can sort of deal with everything else. Funnily enough, or not funnily, maybe not surprising, some people were really open about things. Some people actually got really emotional in front of me in a way that they said they hadn't in front of other people, probably because I'm a stranger. But there was this one story that really stood out for me. So after my friend died, we had an open casket at the funeral. He, had this outfit he wanted to wear, which was super cool. And someone couldn't come, and they actually hadn't had the chance to see him either. And so they they texted me to ask if it was possible for, them to be dialed into the funeral. And of course I said yes. And in fact, I sort of said, well, actually, he will have an open casket. I can dial you in on my phone on a video call, and I can take you up to him and you can say goodbye. And she said yes. And so on the day, I got my phone out when the casket was open and dialed the number, and she answered. And we do know each other, but we definitely don't know each other in any form. Like I would probably say essentially she was a stranger. And in this context, in this sort of intimate, emotional grieving space, we were definitely strangers. But in that moment, I said hi and told her I was ready, and I flipped my camera around and I held my phone while she said goodbye to him. And I listened in just enough to know when to take the phone away. I tried not to listen at all because it's really not my place. And then I flipped the phone back, and she said thank you, and we said goodbye. And we haven't really talked since. So I think that's kind of does make us kind of strangers. The reason why it's a really good stranger story is because I think maybe the only reason that could actually happen was because we were strangers. Because if she'd known me well, I don't know if she'd be able to ask that of me. I mean, number one, because obviously she's probably scared that I'm sort of grieving for Amel, and would she be, getting in the way of that? I think she might be a bit embarrassed or feel a bit uncomfortable about, asking for it, but then also having to say what she wanted to say, with me listening. Or just because, it's sort of something that's really hard to ask for. But because I was a stranger and because she didn't know me and because there were no repercussions and I wasn't going to see her the next day and we didn't have a direct relationship in terms of my friend who died, she did. And I got to say, I am so glad that I had the chance to do that for her, stranger or not. I was just, yeah,